Activism consists of efforts to promote, impede, or direct social, political, economic, or environmental change, or stasis. Various forms of activism range from writing letters to newspapers or politicians, political campaigning, economic activism such as boycotts or preferentially patronizing businesses, rallies, street marches, strikes, sit-ins, and hunger strikes. Research is beginning to explore how activist groups in the United States and Canada are using social media to facilitate civic engagement and collective action. Types: activists can function in roles as public officials, as in judicial activism. Arthur Schlesinger, Jr., introduced the term judicial activism in a January 1947 Fortune magazine article titled The Supreme Court, 1947. Activists are also public watchdogs and whistleblowers, attempting to understand all the actions of every form of government that acts in the name of the people. All government must be accountable to oversight and transparency. Activism is an engaged citizenry. Some activists try to persuade people to change their behavior directly, rather than to persuade governments to change or not to change laws. Other activists try to persuade people to remain the same, in an effort to counter change. The cooperative movement seeks to build new institutions which conform to cooperative principles, and generally does not lobby or protest politically, and clergymen often exhort their parishioners to follow a particular moral code or system. As with those who engage in other activities such as singing or running, the term may apply broadly to anyone who engages in it even briefly, or be more narrowly limited to those for whom it is a vocation, habit, or characteristic practice. In the narrower sense, environmental activists that align themselves with Earth First or road protesters would commonly be labeled activists, whilst a local community fighting to stop their park or green being sold off or built on would fit the broader application, due to their using similar means to similarly conservative ends. In short, activism is not always an action by activists. The Internet, for more than 14 years, groups involved in various forms of activism have been using the Internet to advance organizational goals. It has been argued that the Internet helps to increase the speed, reach and effectiveness of activist-related communication as well as mobilization efforts, and as a result has had a positive impact on activism in general. Activism industry. The activism industry consists of organizations and individuals engaged in activism. Activism is often done full-time, as part of an organization's core business. Many organizations in the activism industry are either non-profit organizations or non-governmental organizations. Most activist organizations do not manufacture goods. The term activism industry has often been used to refer to outsourced fundraising operations. However, activist organizations engage in other activities as well. Lobbying, or the influencing of decisions made by government, is another activist tactic. Many groups, including law firms, have designated staff assigned specifically for lobbying purposes. In the United States, lobbying is regulated by the federal government. Many government systems encourage public support of non-profit organizations by granting various forms of tax relief or donations to charitable organizations. Governments may attempt to deny these benefits to activists by restricting the political activity of tax-exempt organizations. Methods: agitation, civil disobedience, community building, conflict transformation, cooperative movement, craftivism, grassroots, voluntary simplicity. Dissident, economic activism, boycott, guerrilla gardening, freeganism, veganism, vegetarianism. Consumer activism, divestment, simple living, tax resistance. Franchise activism, lobbying, media activism, culture jamming, hacktivism, internet activism. Nonviolence, peace activist and peace movement, political campaigning, propaganda, guerrilla communication. Protest, demonstration, direct action, protest songs, theater for social change. Strike action, youth activism, student activism, youth-led media. Atheist activism, see also, list of activists, advocacy evaluation, advocacy group, agitator, counterculture of the 1960s. cultural Marxism, community leader, media manipulation, restorationism, Saul Alinsky, slacktivism, social engineering, social movement, virtual volunteering. References. Further reading: Paul Roget-Loeb, Soul of a Citizen, Living with Conviction in a Cynical Time. ISBN 978-0-312-59537-1. Brian Martin. The Controversy Manual. Brian Martin. Doing Good Things Better, Brian Martin. Justice Ignited, The Dynamics of Backfire. Brian Martin with Wendy Varney. Nonviolence Speaks, Communicating Against Repression. Brian Martin. Nonviolence versus Capitalism. Brian Martin. Technology for Nonviolent Struggle. Brian Martin with Lynn Carson. Random Selection in Politics. Brian Martin. The Whistleblower's Handbook, How to be an Effective Resistor. Updated and republished 2013 as Whistleblowing, A Practical Guide, Sparsna Currency S., Sweden, Irene Publishing. Randy Shaw, The Activist's Handbook, A Primer for the 1990s and Beyond. ISBN 0-520-20317-8. David Walls, The Activist's Almanac, The Concerned Citizen's Guide to the Leading Advocacy Organizations in America. ISBN 0-671-74634-0. Victor Gold, Liberwocky. ISBN 978-0-7852-6057-8.